Yes.
Okay. Hello again. My name is Tara Brabazon.
And this is Judy O'Connell.
And we're here together for Judy and Tara Talk Tech. And this is our first session, and it's an interesting one. It's about a topic that, let's be frank, can ruin people's lives. It can ruin their family life. It takes them away from all the things they love doing with their day. Yes, we're talking about email and the digital glut. Now, Jude, let's talk about emails. Emails do ruin my life, and I think I've got a pretty good information literacy and information management, but just enormous chunks of my life go with email. And I always think, and I think I've said this in some of my publications, Jude, it's an incredible paradox of our time, you know, that we've never had so much information, and yet the skills we require for information literacy have never been more difficult to attain. If you think about the disrespect of libraries, the disrespect of librarians, the professionals that can help us manage information, those professions are being disrespected. So I find that an incredible paradox of our time. So we need help in managing our digital lives. So let's talk a little bit about email. You're a great expert in so many ways, Jude, on email. How do you manage it, and how do you advise others to manage their email lives?
Well, Tara, one of the questions people have to stop and think about is what it is that they want email to do. Email is about communication and sharing information and making information available and communicating at point of need. But if you wind that back a little bit in time and you think about the days when we used to write letters, we had a purposeful task for that. We could only write so many letters.
Yeah.
And we would do that purposefully. We would craft that piece of communication and then we'd put it in the mail. Along comes all this fantastic media which speeds up the way that we can do our work.
Yeah.
But it also makes a mess of the way that we communicate. Because we don't have the time for reflection, we get the big fat smiling cat and here's my fantastic flower pot pictures going around the place. So we've got this incredible mixture of junk, stupid organisation of information, badly structured sentences and so on.
Yeah.
And so really it's a whole new medium that people actually need some thinking and training about almost.
Absolutely.
In order to manage. There are so many strategies that we can take to make email functional for personal, work, professional uses.
Yeah.
But what exactly are they?
Yeah, I mean, and I think we'll go to those, and you have great strategies for that, Jude. As someone who sends a lot of emails and as a head of school, I am very careful and cautious with emails because in many ways they are a legal document. So I spend a lot of time crafting emails with great care because I'm very well aware, and you must be as well, Jude, that when you write something, it can be used in a court of law, it can be sent to millions of people, literally millions of people, and you never know who's being blind CC'd into any data. So I am very careful, and I never write an email that I'm not happy for my mother or the Pope to read. But I think that caution and that care is part of what we need.
And you know, Tara, the caution also applies. In my case, one of the beefs I have is about the layout of emails. You know, when we crafted letters, we had paragraphs, we structured them nicely and we signed them off. Now you'll get an email that's got 50 words strung together and that's it, with a name at the end. It's illegible, it doesn't communicate effectively, and it actually does a disservice to our professional presence.
Exactly, and there's so many ways we can create that information management. One is just simply put a nice subject.
Yes.
So we can actually identify what the email is about.
Yes.
But you've got other strategies much more complex than that, Jude. What do you think?
So it's a case of adopting some new conventions in how you manage your email. So the conventions around how you write and how you structure is obviously one of them.
Yes.
But the other is managing the information flow. So using things like folders, and not just folders to organise, but folders that prioritise your work. Something you need to do now, things that you need to do later, action statements perhaps, action folders, priority folders, automatic folders also based on email filtering, so that if you've got your communications from your students or whatever it might be, particular email addresses that regularly come through, perhaps it's a subscription service, make it go straight into a folder so that you don't have this amazing stream, as we all have, of hundreds of emails coming through each day. So use those sorts of automatic rules to your best effect. That really makes a great thing. And use your out of office. Don't just use your out of office when you're going on your once-off holiday. Use it if you've got some major events on in relation to your workplace or your studies, practices or whatever it might be. Holidays is not just, holiday rules are not just about holidays, they're about professional times that you're engaged in something and you know that you can't respond.
Can I get an example from that? That's brilliant. So, for example, if you're at a day-long meeting, would you do one of those?
You could do,
So you're here today with me in Bathurst. Have you got some sort of message?
No, I haven't done, but I should have done.
But
so that's exactly this is why we have to reconceptualise the conventions around how we manage email. We used to have some really basic rules in how to write letters. We need basic rules in how to manage our email.
That is fantastic. I've got a few strategies I use, Jude, just to actually reduce the number of emails I get. Not nearly as advanced as yours are, but I try and reduce the amount of information that's being pushed to me via email. So all those sort of, you buy flowers once from a florist and they endlessly send you emails for the rest of your life. I stop all those sorts of subscriptions immediately. I always stop reply all. You know those people that go, I'm so clever, I am going to CC this email to half of New South Wales. You know those people? Or half of Lancashire. Hi to all my English guys and gals. Really, don't. Oversharing, just don't. People are too busy, so reply all, really have a think. If you want to share it with the world. Stop subscriptions. Even for example Facebook, I don't get the automated notifications. When I go onto Facebook, and I then assess that while I'm there. I don't have those coming into emails. I also choose the time very carefully that I enter social media, and I also choose the time that I answer emails. I answer them in blocks, Jude. Do you do that as well? So I go, this is my email time, and this is the time I do other things, whether it be reading or writing or in meetings. But I think it's the endless, as an email arrives, you answer it. I think that's when we start to confront some challenges with time management as much as information management.
The other side of that, of course, is in the old days you used to write different letters to different people. Now we actually have to have different email accounts for different purposes.
Now you're very good on this. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? So what do you do?
Well, for example, you are these days joining social media sites, having to subscribe to some software, whatever it might be. Don't use your work email for that. Set up a particular other email account. It might be a Gmail account, for example, which is what you always use for that particular purpose. It means that those notifications, those joining things, those subscription things are just sitting in that email, minding their own business and not interfering with the flow elsewhere. So you can choose to have 1, 2, 3, whatever it might be. I've got an iPad here and I can actually have a number of email accounts that are, some of which I only need to look at once a month, but they're there, they're tracking some of those things, and it just makes a much nicer, neater information organisation process.
That is fantastic. So guys, I hope that helps a lot, because I think email can take over the world. It can certainly take over your working life. And I think the suggestions that Jude has given us are a way to really segment and fragment our lives and make sure there's a match, if you will, between information management and time management. So Jude, some great suggestions there. See you for our second session.
Goodbye.